Dro clicked her mandibles, saliva dripping from her tiny lips between them. The fungus sat there on the rock, right where the thing had left it, just baking in the sun, just waiting to be gobbled down. Clearly the thing had wanted to keep some. She had picked up Treat like she was her pet and forced her to give her a piece. But what was the thing trying to do now, digging that pit? Bury it? Didn't she know fungus didn't grow in the ground? What a waste that would be while Dro's stomach still grumbled for more. The little bite Treat had given Dro was hardly enough to sate her after 2 days on the run. And besides, she had no idea when they would find anything else edible on this planet. She crept closer to the fungus while the thing's back was turned, hard at work, excavating with her forepaws. With an exhilarating thrill, she snatched the fungus and retreated. But the thing must have heard her scurry away, because she raised her head and spun around. The deep roar thundered in her chest louder than her own pounding heart. She dropped her potential dinner and leapt backwards. Treat, the soldier drone, instinctively rushed to put herself between Dro and the thing, but the creature didn't budge from her spot, kneeling in the dirt. With a long stretch of her arm, she picked up the fungus, dusted it off, and placed it back on the rock. Before she returned to work, she murmured something in her incoherent babble at them. Dro had heard her anger and her excitement, but really something that felt so morose. Whatever she was trying to say, the thing had a purpose with the fungus. She had always had a purpose, ever since she pretended to return a food tray to her. Dro decided to trust her, even if she didn't have a clue what she planned to do with it, helping her beat standing around anyway. She skittered up cautiously from the side, making sure she stayed in the thing's line of sight. Now she was starting to dig a second pit beside the first. She stopped and leaned back when she came close, staring at her. Dro did her best pantomime of the thing's digging with her own foreclaws, chopping away at the air. She nodded her head and mumbled something, sliding over for her. Dro went to work. "Digging us a nest?" Treat chirped from nearby. "One big enough to fit her?" She gestured to the creature, twice as tall as herself. "I don't know what we're digging, but at least we're doing something," Dro huffed. Treat clicked. "You need someone to stand watch for you and your new queen." "She's not my queen." "Then why are you doing as she asks, little ship drone?" Meanwhile, the thing, oblivious to their conversation, had completed digging a small tunnel between the two pits. Dro felt the thing's soft hand meet her foreclaw in the dirt at the bottom of the pit. She withdrew her foreclaws as the thing looked around for something. She settled on a little stick and waved to the Dro, picking up another and collecting them in her hand. Dro understood the gesture and started scouring their campsite for the same little bits of wood. "So obedient, just like how you were bred," Treat chided her. Dro had had enough. She dropped her little bundle by the pit and skittered right up to the blue carapace overshadowing her. Her anger scent burned in the air between them. "What's your problem?" she demanded. "Excuse me?" "You were just a loyal soldier drone not too long ago. What happened to you?" "I got betrayed by the ship queen. I didn't like the scent of it in my nostrils." "And what? That means you don't lend a claw to anyone else in need?" Treat towered over the little ship drone in front of her. Her powerful mandible snapped back. "You should know better than to accuse me of that. I helped you and that thing take the subspace drive hostage." Dro went back down. "It was me and her helping you drag your friends to safety. The same friends who decided to kill us anyway under the ship's queen's orders, if not for her." She gestured to the thing. "We'd both be dead. We owe her a debt. I'm just paying my share back." With that, she went to gather more wood with the thing in the brush. Treat stood there, thinking up a peppery scent of her own. She had sworn she wasn't going to serve another queen, not after what the last one did to her. The thing was supposed to be her beast of burden, her weapon to get her friend back from the Wrathy. She didn't want to get used by the beast instead. But maybe if she wanted its strength, she needed to lend it some of her own. Begrudgingly, she joined them in the menial labour, stacking a load of sticks in her forelimbs. "This work should be for your caste," she complained to Dro. "There's no room for specialisation anymore," Dro clicked back. "No specialisation, but that means no hierarchy." "Last I heard, you weren't too fond of queens." "That doesn't mean I want to throw away the whole system. Soldier drones and ship drones have their places." "Stuff the system, we're not on the ship anymore. We have to do whatever it takes to survive down here." Dro gave up the fungus with the thing's fire starter. The two clacked and shared an uneasy silence by his campfire that night, while the thing knocked its prized stones together. Occasionally it would hiss and suck some red blood of his forepaw. A small pile of debris piled at his feet in the orange glow. The thing held up the black rock to the light, giving the two of them their first good look at what it had done. The rock was maybe a third of its previous size and chipped into a flat point. The thing took the point and tied it onto a long, straighter stick that it had set aside from their firewood. It tossed a spear in its forepaw, feeling the light weight. Then it struck at them. Drow and Treat fell backwards trying to get out of the way. The thing cackled and withdrew his weapon. Then, muscles ripping, he threw the spear right into a nearby tree. The spear struck deep in the target, right where a lung or heart might be. How could it do that with just a hunk of rock? Treat chittered, amazed. Maybe it's not such a bad thing to be primitive, Drow mused. The thing picked up a few of its rock flakes. It held them up towards him and said something. Only one of us is a soldier, Treat protested. Sooner or later I'm going to have to fight too, Drow said. We need everyone we can get if we want to save anyone from these flea bags. Treat stared into the fire. Maybe you're right. Stop here, Bagrim's new squad told him. The forest ahead on the narrow trail looked indistinguishable from everything they had passed. It made an expert place for a picket. Password, someone called from the shadowy trees. Tell them it's Razor, Bagrim second whispered. Say it yourself, Bagrim snarled. The other Raff balked. Flustered, he stammered out of the darkness, Nebula! The sentry stepped out of the bushes on his hind legs, blowing what looked like a length of pipe. Where's Ursu? Dead, Bagrim replied. I'm taking his place. Where's Temba? Who are you to ask that? It's alright, Cabba, Bagrim second interrupted. He's one of the cubs that just landed. Got the drop on Ursu. That's no mean feat. You bring back his claws? Yes, Bagrim said. Let us through. The sentry showed them into the hidden camp. Raffi milled about temporary dens erected from tree limbs and underbrush. A few low fires burned with unidentifiable meat roasting on spits. At the other end of camp, Bagrim heard a rhythmic clang. There stood a furnace made from river clay, melting scrap. Using a rock as his anvil, another Raff hammered away at a red-hot piece of metal beside the glowing furnace. Bagrim's eyes caught a shifting mass of white appear from the brush on the very edge of the clearing. The other Raffi, including Bagrim's squad, bowed low to make their deference to him. Bagrim stood alone against his piercing red eyes. Who are you? The white-haired Temba rumbled. Bagrim of Gush. Urashi, eh? Temba scratched his chin with a single pale claw. Well, if you failed Ursu, you've got some fight in you. What do you want? I want to live. Hard job in a Deathworld. I'll come for your help with that. You'll need to put in the work. Come along. Bagrim posted himself on Temba's right, and the two returned to where Temba had just emerged. In a separate clearing, the Raffi had tied up shipwrecked Hokaki and her crew. Captured these ones from your drop. What are you going to do with them? Bagrim asked. He needed them alive if he was going to question them about the thing. Eggs make good eating, so we'll keep the queen. Best to give her a few drones, too. The rest we can't afford to feed or guard, so we'll have a fine feast tomorrow night. Bagrim looked at the bug's big, terrified eyes. Their sulphurous fear scent almost made him pity them, but he had to continue playing his character. He would think of a way to speak alone with them later, but that would require Temba thinking he was just as bloodthirsty as the rest. Why not tonight? Tonight, if you haven't noticed, the camp's a little empty. We have bigger problems. Temba and Bagrim scaled a set of boulders that crested the forest's purple leaf canopy. Across the sleeping landscape, they saw smoke rising in the distance, little pinpricks of flickering flame rather than starlight. Those aren't our fires, Temba explained. Everyone on this continent must have seen when the latest pods came down. He gave Bagrim a shove in the chest with his claw. And you want a piece of the scrap and the fresh meat.